Hello, welcome to College Chats with Mariko. And today we have Suzie Cheel online with us. So Suzie, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hi, Mariko. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. Well, as many people know, I've been labelled this title, The Heart Whisperer. And I have a very interesting and varied background. At the moment, I call myself an intuitive artist, a self-love mentor, an author, and a speaker.
So that's a lot of titles.
It is a lot of titles. But
and I know that you've done a lot of different things. So did you always know that you were an artist?
No. How
did you go with that?
Well, when I was 12 and when I first went to high school and I wanted to do art, I was told I couldn't do art. So I ended up doing things like sewing and cooking and things like that, as well as maths and history and science and everything. But I really wanted to be an artist. So I trained as when I left school, I trained as an early childhood teacher. So I was teaching preschool children and doing lots of creative work. And alongside my teaching, I started doing something that, then was called tie-dye, but is now called shibori.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to make these huge wall hangings and cushions and scarves, and I used to do this at night and things. So I've always done something alongside of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I've been a weaver and had a weaving business, and then I went back into childcare and trained childcare workers in TAFE in the childcare course. And and in between that, I travelled and lived in Nigeria and worked in England. So I have a very varied sort of life and background, but I've always had something creative running alongside of that. And it was back in the 80s when I didn't get a job. I'd been acting in for 2 years. And everybody wanted me to appeal. And I said, no, I just started to paint on silk. And I said, I'm going to go and set up my own textile art business. I'd never run a business before. I'd run a little one on the side. So I set up what was then, you'd appreciate this, I set up something called Suzie Cheel. Instead of Suzie Cheel, Suzie Cheel. And I was very into meditation and alternatives and things like that. And then I decided, it had to became Suzie Cheel hand-painted originals. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I coloured the world, which I'm doing again. Mm-hmm. I coloured the world and I made clothes particularly for women, but I painted men's. I did a whole range of men's ties and shirts and whatever else as well. And these are all in silk and cotton and wool. And I made clothes for women who wanted to stand out from the crowd. So if you wore a Suzie Cheel jacket, you were not going to look like anybody else. These were bright, although for a lot of women, I dressed them in blues and purples because that's what they liked. And I dressed lots of mothers of the bride. Mm-hmm. And it was a very exciting time. But then that side of the thing, I lost the enthusiasm. And in the middle of that, I'd done a postgraduate course and got myself also which is where I started my textile business. My first exhibition of colour and fabrics was at Hawkesbury, what was then Hawkesbury Ag College, which is now the University of Western Sydney. And I went on to do a postgraduate course I have a Master of Applied Science in Social Ecology, which is where my passion for social media came from. I was trying in the 90s to build, with dial-up internet, a textile community, how I could build a textile community online where we were all in this dial-up mode. And of course, as you know now, I'm absolutely passionate about social media and very active within it. So it's all sort of got its things, but I've gone back now. I'm a law of attraction trainer and facilitator. I'm also a coach, or what I call now a self-love mentor, which has come out of my own healing journeys.
Yeah, about your healing journey and how you used your painting. Why hearts?
I don't know. Okay, so how the painting started, because the painting started about 2 months before I got sick. I won it was meant to be a past life reading with a friend of mine who lives in New York. And we got on Skype and she said, I don't think this is right. She said, I think I'll just do a tarot reading for you. And at that point, I was already, I had trained with Doreen Virtue. I was already doing angel intuitive readings, but I never really got into tarot. But at the end of this reading, she said to me, I'm going to give you a prescription. And as an artist, you will appreciate this. I want you to go to, one of those dollar stores, and buy a colouring book and some pens and things. I said, hold on, stop right there. I've got a room full of paint, brushes, paints and paper that I never use. Let's start there. And she gave me what was called a 21-day prescription.
Yeah, right.
And I painted for 21 days. And if anybody wants to Google 21-day prescription plus Suzie Cheel, you'll find it all on my website.
Wow, it's still there.
Well, everything's on the web. Unless you go and delete it, you can't hide it away. So that was how I started painting. And then in the July of that, I got really sick, and I had this near-death experience where I had a total kidney failure from my autoimmune disease that went rogue. We still don't know why, probably never will. The specialists still panic. I have 6 monthly tests because they didn't know why it happened, and they said, I would never achieve the kidney function that I had because of my age. But I have increased that, and I believe I have really good health. I don't know. We'll find out. November's my 6 monthly checkup. I'm always interested to see whether my kidney function is normal or above average. And in the October, I'd already decided that I was going to be one of the 25% of people who was going to live a normal life, that I wasn't going to have dialysis or die. That was my choices, life, death, or dialysis. That I was going to meditate, use my law of attraction tools, heal myself, and go home. The specialist thought I was mad. I don't remember this, but my husband told me that. And in the October, I was already doing some healing, but I could see myself going back into some of my old patterns. I thought, I set myself this goal. I'm going to paint 45 hearts. Don't ask me why, 45. And I was into about, 20 or 30. And I landed back in hospital. And there's a couple of fairly dark hearts in there where Des had actually brought in my little book. I might even have it here. Here they are. I did them in these books. This was the very first heart I painted.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the ones I did when I was in hospital. I didn't have paints, I had crayons. And so this was just before I went into the hospital when I had the relapse.
Doesn't it?
And then
when you're limited to what you've got. And
here I had some crayons, and you can see I was feeling a bit black then. That was back in hospital. That one was before and yeah, so I did drawings then, and I was really good.
So now that these have turned into an actual deck of cards.
These.
What do you have a favorite card? Oh, that's a hard question, but.
Well, it's interesting. Today I drew one of my favorite cards, which is this one, which is abundance. The love card is probably one of my favourite cards. Here. I mean, you know, people know I wear purple and things all the time, and I paint purple. The love card, and I love this one, the passion card. And this one you'll like. I know it's a very different card, but because you did a whole lot of work on I am enough, the knowing card, knowing you are enough.
Love that one.
And one of the earlier cards that I painted, the yes card, this card comes from that first time.
Yeah.
And,
In that one.
you know, it's, as you say yes to love, to life, and to you, your heart whispers thank you. And so many people don't say yes to themselves. And if we don't say yes to ourselves, we're saying yes to everybody else and no to ourselves. And as you know, and I know, that when we do that, we limit our lives in so many ways.
I'm just being mindful of the time, so just like to wrap up with, how can someone connect with you and get your cards?
Right, well, somebody can connect with me by going to SuzieCheel.com. That's SUZIE.
I'll type it into the screen as well.
.com, and just click on Oracle cards. They're at the top of my page, and they're also to the right in my side column.
That's great. Thank you so much, Suzie.
Oh, thank you, Mariko. It's been a delight. It's you know, we've known one another online for a long while. It's been an absolute delight to do this interview with you.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you around on Facebook.
We will do. Okay.
Yes. And this has been Mariko Hulme with Colour Chats. So we'll catch you next time.